Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our NJThrives small business webinar for today. You can just put a 1 in the chat. Just want to make sure everyone can hear me, see the screen. Awesome, perfect. All right, thank you. So we'll go right ahead. I'm your host, Christian Pichardo, NJSBDC Specialty Consultant and CEO at NalumaMedia.com. We're the America's New Jersey Small Business Development Centers Network. We're a statewide program powered by the SBA partners. We help small businesses in New Jersey with 3 things: no cost small business consulting, training and events starting at $0, and exclusive small business resources. So for today's agenda, we'll go over some small business headlines, jump into the webinar. Then we'll have a Q&A session towards the end, but we encourage you to put any questions you have in the Q&A box. So as far as headlines, we have a couple. If you were here on Tuesday, you would have seen some of these already. So we'll jump into it. So SBA is basically launching their own Shark Tank, if you will. So they're calling it America's Seed Fund Expo Competition, and it's exactly what it says it is: competition for small businesses, startups, and inventors using SBIR developed technology. So there is still possibility for you to apply to this, and it seems that the deadline is April 22. So if you're looking to apply to this competition, do it before. Seems like that's next week already. So that is that. Next one here. Oh, whoops. Seems that this is the same one. All right. CSIT is to open 2 voucher programs to help accelerate research and development statewide. So they're planning on opening applications for 1, a Catalyst Research and Development Voucher Pilot Program, and the second one is round 2 of the state's Clean Tech Research and Development Voucher Program. So again, if you think your business is eligible, here is going to be all the details. It seems that April 19th, they're going to have an informational session to offer tips and advice to potential applicants. So if this is of interest, I would definitely try to make it to this informational webinar, April 19th, 10 a.m. And we drop all the links, by the way, of all these news items into the chat. So just make sure you take a look at that. And third one here is, as you know, New Jersey is banning plastic carryout bags and polystyrene. Look, I always have a problem with pronouncing this word. Polystyrene foam. And this is happening May 4th. So we're not far away. It's just a couple weeks out. So the New Jersey Business Action Center is hosting it seems to be a sort of a Q&A session on Tuesday, April 19th from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. So I would encourage any retail business to join this, just so you know what are the resources that you need to make sure you make an easy transition when May 4th comes around. Next one here is New Jersey and New York Supplier Day. So it seems that this is an event, a half-hour webinar sharing overview of industry operations, businesses in supply chain, and it's a free webinar. So if you are in this industry, if you are a supplier, you export items, import items, this might be helpful for you to join this forum on April 26th. And last but not least, this is the newest. This just came out yesterday. The NJEDA approves the creation of New Jersey Innovation Evergreen Fund. I think this one is super interesting. So basically, the NJIEF is going to create partnerships with state and private sectors to try to align corporations and national investors to support you, to support entrepreneurs, small businesses, and grow the innovation economy. So basically, the state becomes an equity investor in startups, and they're going to deploy over 600 million into companies together with venture capital groups. I think this is an incredible initiative, and you know, I think a lot of good things are going to come from this. So more news to come of when this is happening, how's it all going to work, etc. So stay tuned. If you're not subscribed to our newsletter, that's where we usually post these sort of small business updates on these kinds of things. So make sure you're subscribed. But that's about it for our small business headlines. Now, before we jump into the webinar, please type in your questions, not into the chat box, but into the Q&A box. So on your Zoom window on the bottom, you're going to see an icon that says Q&A. You can ask questions there anonymously or as yourself. And number 2 is please complete a 3-minute survey. So once this webinar closes out, you're going to get redirected to a survey. It takes 3 minutes, and once you complete it, you'll get access to the webinar resources like the recording and the presenter's presentation. So that being said, I'd like to welcome Sierra Gutierrez. She's going to be showing us how to manage QuickBooks Online. How you doing, Sierra? Can't hear you just yet. It seems the audio is off. But in the meantime, while you could figure that out, we have a poll, and I'm going to basically we're asking everyone in the audience, what industry are you in? That way we're able to tailor the conversation, the presentation to your business. So please, yep, we're good.
Okay, great.
Perfect. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and launch the poll right now.
Wonderful, thank you. Thank you everyone for being here today, taking the time out of your busy schedules. I know all, if not most of you, are business owners, and just taking the time out to learn more about QuickBooks is a great investment of your time. So there's a lot of information that I'm going to share with you today. This is a big overview of QuickBooks Online. And I hope that you leave this webinar knowing how it can work for you if you already utilize it, learning about new functions in QuickBooks Online. I see most of you are in the service industry, which is great because QuickBooks Online is really tailored for service-oriented individuals and businesses. It's tailored for all industries, and we'll go over that, but I think it works very well for those who are actually providing a service. So without further ado, thank you very much, everyone, for answering. I appreciate it. Okay. All right. And here we go. All right. How do I end this poll? All right. Apologies for the technical difficulties today. Gloria, can we stop the poll, please?
Yes, it stopped. Just click on the close tab there, like Valera. I think it's just you.
Let me see if it says share results. Stop sharing.
Yeah, you should be able to
Oh,
see.
here we go.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. All right, wonderful. Thank you. Okay, can everybody see my screen? Yes, wonderful. All right. All right, so my name is Ciara Gutierrez. I'm a financial consultant specializing in small and medium-sized businesses. I've been working with businesses for over 15 years across various industries. I've worked with individuals as well. I have always used for all of my clients, no matter what industry they're in, and that includes legal, real estate, hospitality, fitness and wellness. I've always used QuickBooks. So I'm a huge advocate for QuickBooks. If you were in the seminar, in the webinar last week, we went over the different platforms that QuickBooks offers. And today we're going to be diving into QuickBooks Online. So if you have no knowledge of QuickBooks, QuickBooks is an accounting software package developed and marketed by Intuit. First introduced in 1983, QuickBooks products are geared mainly towards small and medium-sized businesses. QuickBooks has a cloud-based platform, QuickBooks Online, as well as various desktop versions. So QuickBooks Online, as mentioned, is cloud-based, which means that you do not install it directly on your computer. It is accessed through internet. So you can use it on your phone, you can use it on your iPad, you can use it obviously on your PC, whichever PC that is, but all you would really need is internet connection. So today we're going to actually go into QuickBooks Online, so everyone will be able to see all of these different categories. We're going to talk briefly about the initial setup. We were going to go through all the other ones to get things done: business overview, banking, get paid and pay, customer leads, commerce, payroll, bookkeeping, taxes, and apps are all tabs within QuickBooks Online. And we're going to go into each tab, kind of take a brief look into all of the categories and all the different functions offered within those tabs. Okay. So actually, before that, let me go back to the slideshow for a second. So assuming that you do not have QuickBooks Online already, once you sign up to the subscription, you're going to get, and obviously the subscription cost, let me briefly discuss that, goes from $25 all the way to $300, a little bit over $300. And really what will dictate the cost of the subscription is the amount of users and the extent of the functionalities that you need. So when you go and sign up to QuickBooks Online, they're going to ask you a few questions based on your business needs, and then they're going to suggest which QuickBooks program works best for you, which QuickBooks subscription. So obviously, someone who is a one-person show, for example, versus someone who has a restaurant and has 400 employees, you have different necessities. So you won't both, I would hope, not use the same subscription, because either one is going to be underpaying and not using all the functionalities, or one is going to be overpaying for functionalities that they will never use. So definitely take the time to answer the questions. This is one of the questions that once you're signed up, they're going to ask you. This is the first screen that you're going to see. And the second screen that you're going to see, if you want to take a brief look, kind of says the same thing. They're going to ask you a few questions about your business. What is your industry? Very important for you to answer, because based on this answer is how your chart of accounts is set up. So for those who are not familiar with what a chart of accounts is, imagine a filing folder or filing cabinet. And inside that filing cabinet, there's a lot of different folders, and your chart of accounts is those folders. It's a folder for every aspect of your business, whether it be your telephone expense or what you paid a contractor or your customers, right? It'll all be categorized in that filing cabinet for your business. So it's very important that you know which industry you would belong to or most identify with in order to choose the correct chart of accounts or be set up with the correct chart of accounts. This is very user-friendly. That's one of the greatest things about QuickBooks Online. You do not need to be an accountant. You do not need to have an accounting background. They make this very seamless for you. So any of these questions that you may have, you're unsure, trust me, they're going to make this very, very simple. This is another question that they're going to ask you. And it's important to know what kind of entity you are if you're already an entity, because this will also dictate how your chart of accounts is going to be set up. So if you are someone who is a consultant per se and don't have an LLC or anything established yet, but you do file your taxes and you operate as a business, then you probably either answer sole proprietor or I'm not sure. And those windows will take you exactly where you need to go. Again, making it very, very easy for you to set this up yourself. Now, let's dive into QuickBooks. So once your business is active, meaning you have your active subscription with QuickBooks, you've chosen your industries, you've set up your monthly bundle, however that may be for you. This is how your dashboard or the main window is going to look, right? However, I have a disclaimer. Depending on the industry that you have is how your dashboard will look. Someone might answer and have maybe, for example, again, the larger company with more employees or a more complex industry, their dashboard might look a little different. So don't be surprised if your dashboard looks a little different than this one. That's totally normal. Your questions will lead you to the right dashboard for your business. So keep that in mind. I don't want anyone to get scared and assume that they did something wrong. So the first tab that we're going to go into is the Get Things Done. And it's great because it kind of shows you the flow of your business, right? Your products and services. You can manage your customers. You can send invoices. You can do all of these things. This is like a flow chart, but you can also click on any of these tabs and it's going to send you directly into that section of QuickBooks. So I think that's really great because it can be a little overwhelming and you don't know where specifically things are. This is a great way to find that. Also, if you look up here to the left, there's a plus sign and new. This is also a shortcut for specific functions, as you can see. And I really like that it's a lot simpler. It's not as overwhelming as, for example, that chart for some people. If you need to know where you need to go very, very quickly, this is a great space to find it. So it categorizes everything based on each individual task, anything that's customer oriented, anything that's vendor oriented, employees, or anything that falls under the other category. All right, let me see if anybody has any questions. Okay, all right. So if we go to the Business Overview tab, this is where you're gonna find, once you've entered data, a kind of a snapshot of the health of your business, which is incredibly important and incredibly informative. Again, this is all in alignment with you entering the information. This is only going to give you reports based on the information that you already enter. So if you are entering your expenses, and we'll talk about that a little further along, if you are tracking your client invoices through this portal, then you'll be able to see every month how your business is doing. This is a great way also to get a really quick look at how you're doing so far into the month. Profit and loss, which will show you any sales that you've made and any expenses that you've incurred. So for example, if you generated $1,000 in sales and you spent $500 in expenses, then you've only profited $500. This is a great way to see all of that very, very easily. Once you link your bank accounts, you would see all of your bank balances here if they're being updated on a daily basis. So it's a great way to understand the health of your business. Cash flow. This will also create a chart of sorts to know every business has a flow, an ebb and flow. Some months are busier than others. This is going to show you based on, of course, the amount of data that you import into QuickBooks or utilize QuickBooks with. It's going to show you what are my best months, what are my worst months. And the great part of that is that it can help you plan for those months that you know are a little slower. All that data is going to populate special reports, and it's just going to be much easier for you to make decisions for your business. The reports function is great as well. The favorited reports for any QuickBooks subscription are the ones that are most commonly used, which for a service-oriented business, like if you're sending out invoices to your customers, waiting to get paid, then you're going to really utilize the accounts receivable aging summary. What that means is that it's going to give you a breakout of all the customers you have and what they owe you. And if you specify terms, meaning do they owe you in 15 days? Do they owe you in 30 days? You're going to see who's going to pay me or who's due to pay me or who hasn't paid me and is past due. It's a great report for collection calls, meaning if you want to call anyone and say, hey, you may have forgotten this invoice. It's time, you're 7 days late, whatever your collection practices are. That's a great report to really utilize. Balance sheet. This is more for your accountant or your CPA. This will show any assets and liabilities that your company has. If you spent X amount of money on equipment, it would be on your balance sheet. If you took out any loans, it would be on your balance sheet. That's a liability. So that's something that you would work with your CPA. This is, I would not recommend, unless you have an accounting background, for anyone to really do balance sheet entries, but that's totally up to you. You have the ability to do that. Profit and loss is that report that we spoke about a few minutes ago. And it's going to show you based on per month, per week, per quarter, per year, however you want to run it, because you can customize the dates. It's going to show you how much you brought in and how much did you spend. And you're going to see your actual profit for the year or for the time period. There's a bunch of reports in the reports module. As you can see, they're showing you just about 20 of them. The star here will put it right at your favorites in case there's another one that you really want to see. Profit and loss by customer. That's a great way to see if a particular job or a particular project costs more or less than what you had in mind. Tons of functionality here. And you can do custom reports as well, which means if you decide that you want to run a report for just every 4 days, let's say, profit and loss for every 4 days, it will let you customize a profit and loss report. You would name it whatever you would name it, and it would show it here. Okay. Management reports. These are just specific for management purposes. And again, you can tailor this to whatever dates you want. Planner. Right. So this will help you with cash flow. Cash flow is very important. For example, for our hospitality businesses that are spending money on a daily basis and need to make sure that payroll is covered, that taxes are covered, rent is covered. This is a really good tool for that. Let me see. 1 second. All right, I'm going to answer some questions. Anna says, I need help with bank reconciliations after the correction on reconciled items are correct. So you can definitely do all your bank reconciliations through here, and you can always correct a bank reconciliation. You just have to undo it. So that's definitely a functionality for here and any QuickBooks program. What about an LLC? You would go under sole proprietor if that's the way you are filed, or S Corp. It really depends. Can you compare features of QuickBooks? Let me see. Oh, I think someone took that question off. I own a B&B business and I'm starting a copywriting. Yes, Pat, I would suggest for you to get QuickBooks Desktop because it can give you a little bit more in-depth reporting. It really depends on how detailed you want to be. QuickBooks Online does have functionalities to tag certain properties. So for example, if you have one vendor and they do the cleaning for all of your properties, you can designate what portion of that one vendor bill goes to each, and you can run reports for each tag. QuickBooks Desktop just has a little bit more detailed accounting capabilities compared to QuickBooks Online. Yes, so Sylvia, we're gonna go over the merchant's accounts, how you can link it. That's one of the sections that we're going to go over pretty soon. I know you guys have a lot of questions. There's a lot of information, and I'm trying to get this all in a very short amount of time. Okay, so banking. Banking is where, one, you can connect your bank account, and QuickBooks also offers their own banking options. They also offer their own way to raise funds. I have not had any experience with them. I cannot attest to whether that's great or not, but it is one of the things that they do display here. So if you're ever curious about any of those services, the great thing is that if you're actively using QuickBooks, they have all your data. They would know the health of your business, the financial health of your business based on the metrics that you've entered. All right. Get paid and pay. So here we are, which is probably one of the most important sections of QuickBooks, aside from the vendor section, which we will also go over. It's your customer section. If you have a business that you're providing, I'm just going to use as an example, cleaning services, and you have customers that you see on a regular basis, or you don't see them on a regular basis. This is the customer center. This is where you would add a customer, where you would receive a payment. 1 second, let me see if I can move this out of the way. So, new customer. We're going to enter a new customer as you would if this was something you need to do, okay? You can import customers as well. So very simple. I'm putting new customer. I'm going to name them Mary Jo, right? And here you would enter all of the demographics. You want to enter their email. You want to enter their phone number. Email is very important because most people would prefer to have an invoice emailed to them versus hard copy, meaning through the mail. So this is very, 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 very important. Obviously, you want their phone number as well. All relevant information to Mary Jo, right? Billing address, and same as billing address if the shipping address is the same, okay? You would enter any notes, client-specific notes, any attachments. That's one of the great parts or one of the great functions of QuickBooks Online is that it's very easy to add attachments. And if you're using QuickBooks Online on an iPad or on your phone, you can just use your camera function and take pictures of whatever you want to take pictures of. That's also a very, very great function of QuickBooks Online. Taxes, if you need to specify, I'm going to put her address as 123 Main Street and save. See if it lets me just put it there. All right, so there we go. There's our customer. And now that we have our customer in, I want to create an invoice for my customer. And this is what it would look like. I've already specified a particular dummy name and dummy address here. And this is what the invoice template looks like, right? If I were to create this invoice, finalize it, it's good to go. I can hit save and send. And that customer is going to get invoice 1002 to their inbox. One of the great things about QuickBooks too is that it lets you set up online payments if you choose to. So I always use the example, my daughter's school uses QuickBooks Online. I get the invoice of her tuition through QuickBooks Online. Once I receive that invoice, I open it, it automatically gives me the Apple Pay function. I pay it on the spot. They don't have to wait to get a check from me. I don't have to go into a portal and enter a checking account or enter credit card numbers. It's super easy. And they love it because they get paid very quickly. So I really think this is a great, great feature that they have, especially if you're sending out invoices on a consistent basis. It's also best when tracking your income, right? Because if I'm sending it out through QuickBooks, then QuickBooks already has it tied into my income. If I'm not using QuickBooks to generate my invoices, then I would have to manually enter the invoice and then save it and obviously not send because that customer has already received the invoice some way, somehow. All right. Mike, I see you have your hand up. If you can put your question in the Q&A and I will get to it as soon as the presentation is over. Thank you. Estimates for those businesses, construction, anything of that nature that you would provide a client an estimate, you can use this functionality. And what's great about that is that once you've created that estimate for that customer, you can then convert that estimate into an actual invoice. So everything is linked, which is amazing. And it really takes away that double entry problem, which can happen if you're, for example, using Microsoft Word to create an estimate, and then you have to create an invoice through the other party. If you're doing it all in this one system, everything ties together. And if they pay it, it automatically marks that bill or that invoice as paid. So great, great, great for our service-oriented businesses. And then this here would show you all the invoices that you have created, outstanding, etc. Gives you a snapshot of what's not paid in the last 30 days, what's been paid, what deposits we're waiting for. Super helpful, okay? Time, if you need to track time, this will also help you with that. GPS functionality. I think a previous attendant was asking about this, being able to track time for projects. There's a innovation for that in here. Products and services. You would add any particular services that you offer. So for example, let's say you're a consultant, you offer credit counseling, you offer home buying counseling, different packages, and they all have different prices. You can create it as a product or service, and then it'll automatically populate once you enter keywords in your invoice. So you don't have to type product and service and the price every single time. It'll make it much easier for you to generate those invoices in a shorter amount of time. Vendors, very similar to the customer window. So it's easy to get a bit confused. Just check our time here. To get a bit confused because the windows are the same. Here I made an example, ABC vendor. And let's say this vendor is someone I use one time or however many times. After I do that new vendor setup, which looks very much like the customer setup, entering all the demographics, any notes, attachments. This is key. If you're using contractors, and especially for tax purposes, it's super important for you to collect a W-9. A W-9 is going to provide you with that contractor's either social or EIN number. Now, once you have all that information there, you can use this track payments for 1099 function. What that'll do is that when it's time for you to issue your 1099s next year, it will create a report showing you exactly what you paid that vendor, all the payments paid to that vendor. And if you choose to create 1099s through QuickBooks, it'll auto-populate everything for you. It'll also give you this option here under accounting. You can designate where you want this vendor to be categorized. So if it was an advertising and marketing vendor, I would select this account here. And every time I enter a bill for that particular vendor, it'll always go under advertising and marketing. It's not necessary to do that extra step. You can tailor it to however you would like it to be. But again, we're trying to make this as easy as possible, and we're wasting little time entering things that can be automated for us. All right. Yes, I'm going to leave without saving. Now, after I've saved my vendor, I would create a bill. This means that ABC vendor sent me an invoice. I have to pay them, right? So I would enter the terms. I would enter the date of the bill if I choose to, depending on my method of accounting, the due date, the bill number, and I would enter the level of detail depends on who is going to see this. Am I going to just put this under a blanket, meaning it's just a general expense, or do I really want to show this is an expense for plumbing? This is an expense for office supplies. That's totally up to you. The level of detail is up to you, and honestly, your CPA. What do they need to see? I had mentioned before, and I think this is a good example for our participant who was in the Airbnb business or has a B&B business and wanted to know exactly if they can differentiate certain things. This is where tags would come up. Okay, so if I had a couple of different properties, I would use or tag those properties or tag that project. If I'm working on remodeling my kitchen and I have 5 different contractors I'm working with, then I would tag kitchen remodel, and then I can run a report on kitchen remodel, even though there was different bits and pieces involved into it. All right, let me just check really quick. Q&A box. All right, we already answered that. Checking account. Can I add 2 business accounts? Yeah, you can add as many business accounts as you want. You can add all of your business accounts. You can add all of your credit card statements. Can we transfer financial information from QuickBooks Desktop? Yes, you can convert QuickBooks Desktop into QuickBooks Online and vice versa. The process does take a little bit of time, depending on the size of the file. And it should be with someone who has a little bit of experience, not necessary, because the mapping of the chart of accounts might look a little different, but it is totally doable. And I know they offer a service to kind of walk you through that. Again, it really depends on the extent of your file. But I think it's something that you can definitely do yourself. I'm operating a restaurant, LLC holds property, pays rent. How do I set up QuickBooks with the scenario under one QuickBooks account? So if you have real estate, you own real estate, and there's a restaurant in the real estate, and there's a fee that the restaurant pays the management company for the real estate, you can have different accounts or different companies under the same QuickBooks account. You would have to have separate books because they are different businesses operating, I would assume, under different names and different EINs. But you can have it all under the same account. So for example, if I were to go, I don't know if it's going to give me the option here, but 1 second. It doesn't show me here that option. And I think it's just because of the subscription I'm using as the example, but it would normally show you here, new company, and then you could create a sub company or a different company under your same QuickBooks subscription. So when you enter the QuickBooks Online platform, it'll tell you, do you want to see Restaurant LLC or S Corp Real Estate? You'll be able to choose which one, and it'll all be under the same one. Now, as far as transactions talking to one another, they won't. You would have to do that through journal entries. That would be through your CPA. You can't affect one side of books automatically with the other, if that makes sense. You mentioned banking. Can you please show me where I can undo button? Okay, in this case, I wouldn't be able to, Anna, because I don't have any bank recs. This is just an account that we're using with no real information in it yet. So I don't have a reconciliation to undo, but you can definitely use YouTube and you can definitely use Google. They will show you step by step how to do that. I don't have a rec in here, so it wouldn't be possible to actually show you. Sorry. In this case, vendor is kind of a supplier. Correct. The vendor is your supplier. Correct. Yes. All right. Okay. Great. Customers and leads. So this is another way to see your customers, another way to add your customers. They have a marketing functionality here. So QuickBooks Online has over 650 integrations. So in every section, you're going to see an app or a platform that they are partners with that can help you with your business. In this case, they're showing you how MailChimp can actually help you. Commerce. All right. So I think this is for someone was asking that they have a merchant account or they collect payments through a different space, not necessarily through QuickBooks. It shows you all the different platforms they work with. So if it's an integration with QuickBooks Online, then that means that that platform speaks directly to QuickBooks Online, which means that all that information, for example, from Squarespace or Shopify, all your sales, all of your payouts, any fees that you've incurred would be automatically posted into your QuickBooks account. So it would eliminate that manual entry. They have a lot of different companies they work with. You would definitely take the time to find which one works for you. And again, they have different programs or platforms or subscriptions that are based on your business needs. So compatibility check will show you if, for example, you have inventory, if this other subscription, QuickBooks Commerce, is maybe something that works better for you. They're very good about advertising the different functionalities of QuickBooks, which is great because you don't have, it takes the guesswork out of you, right? It'll show you exactly what you need. Payroll. So if you have any payroll, they do their own payroll processing. So this is kind of talking about that service and what they can offer you. I do find cost-wise that QuickBooks Payroll is a lot less expensive than using, for example, ADP or Paychex. However, it does require a lot more work on your end. So you would have to enter the time, you would have to generate your own stubs, you would have to generate your own reports, you would be responsible for the tax filings. So if that is your forte and that's something that you want to take on, then absolutely, this might be a better option for you cost-wise. But if you have a very big company and that's just not your wheelhouse, you can also import all your information from Paychex, ADP, all the big suppliers and the small ones too. You can import it into QuickBooks as well. So that's not something that should be a concern to anybody. There's definitely a solution for that. Contractors, same thing. If you work with contractors, this would be the place where you would either enter their bills or set them up as a contractor. Tracking your time, again, very important for certain businesses or certain industries, construction, law, etc. This would be a great way to track that. And again, they're offering the services for that functionality. Workers' comp. I think this is going to take me to another screen. There we go. It's just showing specifically for your state. Right now we're in New Jersey, or the company's in New Jersey. It's showing workers' comp insurance information for that. Bookkeeping. So QuickBooks offers bookkeeping functions or bookkeeping experts that you can hire, and they work on your file for you. That's a service offered by them. Obviously, there's a cost to that. If you don't want to hire somebody in-house, or you just don't have the time to, let's say you want to do all of 2021 and all of 2020, and you just don't have the time to do it yourself, you can hire them or hire another third party. The great thing about QuickBooks Online is, again, you can designate a user and they can access it from anywhere, and you can access it from anywhere. You don't need to be on a certain device. As long as you have the login credentials, you can check or do any of these functions. Security is also very big for most business owners. They use two-factor authentication. So if you logged in on your PC for the first time and then decide that you want to log in from your phone the next time, you're going to need a code, and that code is only sent to the main phone number tied to the account or the main email tied to the account. So security is something that they take very seriously, and they have definitely things in place to make sure that your account is secure. Uploading receipts, that is very important, especially when it comes to tax season, especially when you want to present to your CPA, or hope it doesn't happen to anyone if you're audited, right? You can upload all of your receipts into QuickBooks. So that way you're able to provide the support needed for that expense. You can also obviously upload to Google Drive, forward in an email. They have a ton of different functionalities for this. Bank transactions would be, once you connect your accounts, you would see all of the transactions for your bank account. Just because it's been imported into the bank transactions or the bank feed center does not mean that it is part of your books. You have to either accept it or omit it from it being entered into your chart of accounts. So, for example, let's say you're someone who has a bank account that you not only use for your business, but that you use for personal expenses. You can pick and choose which one of those transactions you want to actually import into QuickBooks. I would definitely recommend having 2 different bank accounts, but if that's the case and you want to still be able to get some sort of financial reporting on your business, you can you can certainly choose which transactions get put into your business books, okay? And this is what's talking about the live bookkeeping. They also offer accounting services, all linked through here. CPAs love QuickBooks Online because they have access to your books at any time. So before tax season or before sales tax is due, they can see your sales. Obviously, if the books are being kept up to date, they can see all that information without having to call you. And also for you, if you want to know the health of your business or what your balance sheet is looking like after your CPA has worked on your books, you can run those reports yourself. You don't need to wait for anybody to give them to you. Everything is at your fingertips. All right. Taxes. This will help you calculate sales tax for those that have businesses that need to charge sales tax, as well as 1099 filings. Super important. We spoke about that briefly. If you have particular contractors or vendors or suppliers that are 1099 recipients, this will make this very easy for you. You're able to send it directly through QuickBooks. Makes it much easier than having to work through another app. And here we go for apps. I know we're almost at the end of our webinar. So as I mentioned, QuickBooks has over 650 integrations, which means they have 650 different add-ons to QuickBooks Online. And you can search by category, by projects, perform analytics, whatever is most applicable to your business. You would look through here and see if they connect to that app. All right. Let me see. I think we're going to open it up, Chris, for Q&A. Just stop sharing my screen for a second.
All right. Great.
I know it's a lot of information. I tried as much as I could to say there's just so much to cover.
I know. Let's see.
Okay.
All right. There we go. So yeah, I encourage everyone to drop any questions into the chat. I do have one here where Swan asks, do you provide consulting services? If so, how can we contact you?
I work directly with the NJSBDC. They will be sharing my information with you all. I am a resource for small businesses, so I can definitely help you out, Juan. The next question is.
So Zachary, I'm sorry if I butchered your name.
Zakira? Sorry if we're messing up your name. All right, I'm gonna read her question. Online self-contractor. I have 2 independent contractor. So I would definitely go for Simple Start versus self-contractor, because once you start paying other individuals or maybe running more customized reports, that's not going to be enough. So I would definitely do the Simple Start. I believe it's like $25 a month. And especially as your business or your practice grows in whatever direction you see fit, that'll hold all of the accounts that you need. How secure is the online QuickBooks version? Because we work with a confidential company info on the tech support from QuickBooks. Okay, tech support is great. The security, they take security very, very seriously. Intuit is a big company. They also are the parent company of TurboTax, so they are dealing with very sensitive information. You know, everyone's social security numbers who are on that platform. So security is very, very important to them. Tech support is great. One thing I will say, which will happen with any cloud-based software, is that there will be times where the software or the platform is down. Doesn't happen very often anymore, as things have become more cloud-based, but it is something to consider. So in case one day you log into QuickBooks Online, says the server is down, you know, unfortunately, that's one of the downsides of cloud software, but the server is usually up within a couple minutes. The longest I've seen it be down is like an hour. I have QuickBooks. Will there be a training that goes into more detail? We're definitely going to be holding more seminars or webinars on QuickBooks. I know it's a lot of information in a short amount of time. And we will definitely be doing in the future webinars that are more task-based, so we can go through things a little slower and more in detail. All right, I think that's it. If anybody else has more questions.
I encourage everyone, keep dropping in your questions. We still have a couple minutes.
Yes, please do. Oh, and we'll also next week, for those who were asking about QuickBooks Desktop, our webinar next week is on QuickBooks Desktop. So if you're unsure which version is best for you, then maybe attend that one as well, now that you've gotten a brief overview on QuickBooks Online. QuickBooks Desktop, as I mentioned during one of the questions, is a bit more sophisticated. It's definitely one of the things that bigger companies gravitate towards because there's more functionality, there's more charts, there's more, one of the biggest things is budgeting. Also, QuickBooks Desktop allows you to do sales orders, which for manufacturing companies is a big thing or a big part of their business. QuickBooks Online does not allow you to do that. So that's one of the biggest differentials between both platforms. I think I saw a question in the chat. If you could please put it in the Q&A. I'm just going to check the chat really quick. Q&A chat. All right. See. All right. What is a common mistake new people make? I think one of the biggest mistakes that people can make when setting up their chart of account or setting up their QuickBooks account is not choosing the right industry. So if you're not choosing what industry or the service that you provide, you're going to get a chart of accounts or functionalities that are just not applicable for you. And then if you are not getting the tools that you need, you'll be less likely to use it because it may not be user-friendly for you. Also, I notice people don't update the information with enough frequency. If this is a tool that's going to help you understand your business every day, if you're updating this data on a daily, weekly, however your business runs basis, then for those business owners who are constantly looking at their bank account for the state of their business, you're actually going to get facts. Because just because you have $1,000 in the bank account doesn't mean you have $1,000 in your pocket. If your bank account says $1,000, but you wrote $900 in checks, guess how much money you have? $100. You don't have 1,000. So that's one of the greatest advantages of taking hold or taking control of the financial aspects of your business. You don't have to wait until tax time to understand, hey, maybe I should be putting away 20% to pay my taxes. You don't have to wait until you apply for a loan to say, oh, wow, I have no financial statements. I don't know what a balance sheet is. This is going to show you how to manage your business so you can answer questions that are relevant not only to the financial health of your business, but for your business to grow. If you're seeing that you're spending too much money on marketing, if you're seeing that you're spending too much money on, let's say, I don't know, waste removal, garbage, taking a look at these statements or creating these statements or providing the data to create the statements are going to help you make more educated decisions on your business. Also, you'll be able to see, I have a project. I'm charging this customer $2,000, but it's going to cost me $1,900 in expenses. You're not making any money. So this is a great way also to cost account or do cost accounting and understand, am I underpaying? Am I undercharging or am I overcharging? Which nobody cares if you overcharge, right? But you don't want to be losing money at the end of the month. That's for sure. So utilize these tools that are available to you. This is super user friendly. I cannot emphasize this enough. I know we went through a lot today and it may be overwhelming if you have no accounting background, but trust me, this is very, very easy for you to take ownership of and for you to utilize. And it doesn't matter how small your business is. If you are, I saw someone is a therapist and they may have 2 contractors, they may have 1 client or 500 clients. This is great for you. Even if you're going to just start a business and want to make sure that you are organized, this is going to be a really good tool for you. And your CPA is going to be so happy because you're going to be organized, and your taxes are going to be so easy because you're going to be organized. So thank you, everybody, for taking the time to be here today. And
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have about a minute left.
Oh, Damien, thank you so much.
And...
Thank you, everyone, for your positive feedback. I know it's a lot.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. So before I mention this one, so our next QuickBooks event will probably be sometime in June. So next week we don't have an NJThrives event, but
Okay.
in 2 weeks from now, on Thursday, April 28th, we're going to have a certification event. So we're going to be talking about how veteran and disabled veterans can get a certification in New Jersey. So to get information on this event and all of our future events, go ahead and scan the code on the right. You just have to point your camera. You don't need to take a picture. You just point at it, a link will pop up, and you click on the link, and that's where we have all of our events, so that you can go ahead and register in advance for them. And with that being said, we're at the NJSBDC. We've helped 13,000 plus small businesses grow. And to get started, go ahead and visit us at njsbdc.com/request-counseling, or you can go ahead and scan this other little barcode here. So I want to thank you, Sierra, for an incredible couple of training sessions. And for everyone else, I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye, everyone.